back to Riverdale for this episode of Terrific Non-TV Toys. And we've got an assortment of things that we're going to take a look at for this episode. First and foremost, I've got a bendy. I picked this bendy up in 2020 at a local comic shop, collectibles shop. And I did a little poking around online about him, and he is dated 1989. Wow, I would have thought he was earlier, but 1989 is the date on him. And I just cleaned him up the other day to get him ready because he was quite dirty, but he cleaned up pretty nice. So he's Archie Andrews, and there was a set of these from 1989 by the manufacturer Jesco, Jesco. And I'll show you photos at the end of this episode, photos of the set of them. There were 5, if this one particular photo that I found online is to be believed. There were 5 of them. So you'll see the major characters, the big 5, I guess you would call them, from Archie Comics are represented. And then you'll also see a better view of this Archie on the card. He was carded when he was originally sold in 1989. So there's a little bit of detail on the Archie bendy, who is still nice and bendy after all these years. And I picked him up for, I know it was less than $10, somewhere between $5 and $10. So he was a pretty good deal. He's got a little bit of wear here and there, but otherwise looking good. And I see there's the Jesco. You can't really see it here so much. A little bit in the glare of the outside light coming in. The Jesco logo on the back. Probably a date there. Oh yeah, actually I see the date. It is 1989. Okay, good. The internet was right about this one. So I'll show you those photos, which are not mine, at the end of this episode. All right, I'm excited also to show you something that's almost complete from my younger years. You know, I've been an Archie fan for all my life. I've been reading their comics all my life. And I've communicated with them a few times over the years. As a kid, communicated with them. One time in particular, they sent out like a survey, or they asked people to respond regarding Archie restaurants. Now, when I was a little girl, I heard about Archie restaurants, but they were in another state. I grew up in Michigan, and I think they had them in New York. But they were just kind of like a vague notion to me, because I had never actually seen one, but I'd kind of heard of them but didn't know much about them. And somewhere in, I think, the 1980s, they put out a call for feedback on whether or not they should reopen a chain of Archie restaurants. I always wanted to go to one, of course, being a hardcore Archie's fan, but could not because they were so distant. So they sent me back this letter thanking me for my feedback. Form letter back then. But the big thing that I sent away for, that I'll always treasure, I mean, mostly treasure, although I've misplaced one piece of this. It's existing somewhere in this house. I just have not laid hands on it yet, but I have looked high and low. Anyways, this is a comic digest dating from 1989. Okay, so October 1989, a new Archie's Digest. Love that. Okay, you could send away for these items with the Archie Fan Club. You could join the Archie Fan Club and they would send you this stuff. Only $3. And you got a notebook, a pen, a button, and the card. The card is where, you know, I'm coming up short on this set. And it, like I said, it's somewhere in this friggin' house. And I looked in the likely places, and I am befuddled that it's not there. But anyways, I'll locate it someday. But yeah, you can see how you ordered away for this. And so I did that in the 1980s. Okay, so and here is the button. Still preserved after all these years. Love it. Here is the pen, which I have used a little bit over the years. It's got the, remember these pens? They have the multicolors, and you click it down to use that color. When you click another one down, the one that you had been using pops up. You know, it just puts the color that you want into position. So that still works, and I believe it still writes after all these years, possibly. But it's got Archie and the gang, the big 4. Talking about the big five. And you know, okay, if this is the big four, you know what the fifth is, right? Reggie, at least traditionally. I mean, you know, they've shaken up a lot of the Archie lore in more recent years. Oh, but look at that. There's another four. So you got Reggie, but then you've got the principal, Mr. Weatherby, and Miss Grundy, and then you've got Moose Mason. So you've got what traditionally had been the major characters of Archie comics, okay? And then look at all the comics, or the characters you've got on here on this notepad. I did use a few pages off of it over the years, but I tried to preserve some because I knew it was a fun collectible. I even colored in a little bit of this top sheet, but you can see all the characters that are depicted, and it's dated 1985 Archie comic publications. So a few pages left of that. So very fun. And I think they even, okay, I think when I responded to the restaurant thing, they sent me one of these, either the comic book or the digest they sent for good measure. And then maybe when I joined the fan club, they sent a comic book too, if I recall. Here's a bigger picture of this ad in this issue of Everything's Archie, and also promoting the new Archie's show, Saturday mornings on NBC. So this was 1988. All right, and my original envelope for where that came, I'll cover up the address because my brother still lives there at our childhood home. But yeah, it was straight from Archie Comic Publications, love it. And then, not that you can't find that on the internet. And then, business reply mail, should you, you know, want to order some stuff, you know, just in case. Look at all the stuff. Subscribe and receive the next 6 75-cent issues. Oh my gosh. How much is a standard comic book issue up to these days? I don't even want to think about it. For only $3, you save $1.50 on every 6-issue subscription you order. So you could order from the various titles, and they did have the new Archies available. Again, promoting the TV show. They had Betty's Diary back then. I remember that. I've got some of those downstairs. And then the digests. Yeah, so love to see the vintage flyer. And then this, yeah, just a newsletter. Like, I think as a member of the club, you got an issue of the newsletter. So, yeah, just so cool. I love the Archie world and remain a fan over the years. So thanks for joining us once again, and keep it tuned here to BRBTV for more terrific non-TV toys.